disability is something that would separate someone from like what's considered the norm. Something that makes people feel slightly inferior than others.
A disability is an inability to complete a task under certain circumstances.
I think it's not having the full capability to do something.
Disability to me is just people out there that just need a little bit of help. It could be mental or physical. People that just need just that extra push in the right direction to do things in their daily lives.
Disability is when somebody can't do, this is a terrible answer, when somebody is unable to do tasks that come easily to other people.
What is disability? A disability is a mental or physical handicap that makes you not the same as most people.
Well, a disability for me, when people cannot hear or speak.
The Americans with Disabilities Act defines a person with a disability as someone who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activity. This includes people who have a record of such an impairment even if they do not currently have a disability. It also includes individuals who do not have a disability but are regarded as having a disability. Society's definition of disability is the limitation in the ability to pursue an occupation because of a physical or mental impairment.
Just like who you're attracted to, I guess.
Sexuality is whatever you have in your pants.
Sexuality to me is sexual orientation, obviously your sexual reproductive system, but obviously it's a lot deeper than that nowadays. Sexual orientation or sexuality comes to what's within you. You have different sexes nowadays, and I support everyone. That's what you prefer in life, so you should live life to the happiest potential.
Sexuality is the way someone can feel physically, mentally, emotionally, any form at all about another person, whether it's a boy, girl, or somewhere in between, or neither.
Sexuality to me is like when you're that kid in Toys R Us that goes into any given aisle and you pick out your first toy and everyone's like, oh, that's alright, and you're like, yeah, I guess it's alright. It doesn't really have a construct. It's what you make it as a sexual orientation.
Well, by definition, that sexuality is the quality or state of being allowing attracted to someone or something. For example, the sexual orientation is known as homosexual and heterosexual. In society, people can substitute these words for gay, lesbian, or straight.
There is not only a controversy on if sexual education should be taught in schools, but also how it should be taught to children with disabilities. Now we're going to discuss the pros and cons of teaching sexual education to schools. I'll represent the cons.
And I'll represent the pros.
To start, students may still be subject to embarrassment or excitability by the subject matter. This can lead to chaotic classrooms.
But a pro of that would be classes that are normally gender exclusive, so it could save some embarrassment for students who don't feel comfortable.
Another con is that most schools only teach it as a brief interlude in physical education or health class. This is not enough time to relate effectively to serious matters. Teachers are not always adequately trained to teach sexual education to their students.
However, if taught properly, it does not have to strictly fall into the category of sex, but could also fall into categories of anatomy or biology.
Sexual education goes against moral or religious beliefs of students. Schools normally do not teach abstinence only, but rather teach safe sex, while many of the religious and families stress marriage before having intercourse.
Since most students don't say abstinent, it is better to educate them on it.
The last con would be that people often see sex education as a recreational course and not a serious issue in society.
But a pro of sexual education is to educate people on terms rather than using slang, such as if you were to say the clap is actually chlamydia. The class could also dispel myths, like when people think that you aren't able to get pregnant the first time.
Special needs classrooms also needs to be educated in the classroom about sexual education. Michigan, Thornapple, Kellogg schools have researched a new program. They did 2 years of researching sexual education, teaching material for cognitively impaired students. However, the director of curriculum, Kim Chowsaw, said cognitively impaired students have a higher chance of getting involved in unsafe sexual situations because they were never taught anything and experiences an abuse at much higher rates than people without disabilities. This new class that is made will cover when, where, and what is okay in regard to sexual subjects. They will also discuss changes in the body, social skills between male and females, dating, and abuse.